The first ever crawfish table.
Here we go. $500 man, give me the 500. Where I got 500 now, 6 now, 7, 7, 8, 800 now, 9, $900 between the 900 now,
Hey guys, we're here with Mark Serta and Lori Leach, and they are a big part of the Wade Busby Foundation.
What we represent is Wade died in 2005, and friends and family got together and we decided we wanted to keep his memory alive, so we came up with this casino night fundraiser to raise money to support youth involved in agriculture.
So guys, I can't wait for you to be able to see the footage of this table actually going to auction. So stay tuned.
And we really went crazy with the Flambe Sparkle. Okay, it looks amazing.
We've always wanted a crawfish table. We thought it'd be cool to build one, especially out of epoxy. It should bring some money. I hope so. This is gonna be the first one. I've never seen anything like this.
All right guys, today I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna take this 2-inch piece of foam and make it into a cool crawfish table. Stick around and see how it turns out. This is a 4x8 sheet of pink foam, insulation foam. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a table that's 4x4. So I'll measure 4 feet out. We'll cut it down the middle, then we'll take that one side and we'll cut the center out. We'll put the fiber mesh, quick coat, and then let that dry. Then we'll come back later, slap on 1x4s all the way around. That way it gives it a sturdy edge. And then we'll pour the epoxy inside. Okay, you can see now I have 2 pieces of foam here. So on this side, I am gonna cut a ring that's gonna go underneath this piece. And then from there, that's what I'm gonna use to go around the barrel. So that ring is gonna go all the way around there. That way when we set it down on there, it's not gonna move around and it'll stay in place. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find the center of this. That's where I'm gonna cut a 6-inch hole, and that's where all the crawfish will go into the barrel. So what we'll do is we'll just mark it 2, which is on that line. And we'll go 2 here and 2 here. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this 6-inch hole saw and I'll just drill a hole right out the middle, and then that's gonna be the hole where all the trash goes. Guess I need to flip it over. And there we go, we got a little hole there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take the sandpaper and then I'm just gonna try to round this edge over and see how pretty I can get it. So that was an 80 grit. I'm gonna go to a 320 and see how that works. Maybe the smoother, the better. So as you can see here, I'll give you a close up. That's pretty smooth. I'm not really worried about those cracks right there because we're gonna fill that up with quick coat. There's the finished hole so far. So now what we can do is put the fiber mesh in the quick coat and let that dry. All right, so now I'm gonna take this other piece. I'm gonna find the center, and then I'm gonna use my router jig for the circles. I'm gonna put this in the center, cut out my ring that goes around the trash can. Now, because I know that the foam is too thick for my router, I'm gonna go ahead and just finish it off with the jigsaw once I cut all the way around with the router. Then I'll just come back and follow it with the jigsaw. It should be efficient enough. I'm gonna mark it at 23.5, and then that's gonna be the inside diameter of the circle. All right, here we go. Let's see how it works out. Okay, so that's my first cut, and then I'm gonna want this to be about 8 inches. So here's the mock-up. That's gonna fit on there. So then now this is gonna be underneath the table and it has plenty of room to play. It'll sit and the table won't fall off. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna quick coat this to the bottom of the other board, and then that's gonna allow that to sit there nice and pretty. Plus it'll give you room for the trash bag to go over the top. I like it. All right, so I'm gonna use a 320 and I'm gonna go ahead and just sand all the way around this edge. That way it gives me a nice, pretty, smooth edge. Then when we paint it, it'll look real nice. So here we go. And you can see, this is just gonna give me a nice, smooth, finished edge. So when we paint it, it'll look good. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue that ring to the bottom of the table. So I got the center of the ring and I just measured 4 1/4 here, 4 1/4 on the top. That way it's lined up, and I use the score lines to get my center on each side. That way they're all lined up. As you can see here, it's gonna be nice all the way around. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is trace it on both sides, inside and out, and then we're going to glue it down. Let it sit overnight and we'll come back and finish it up. So now I got my 2 lines traced out, and we decided we're gonna just silicone this together, see how it works out. All right, so we're gonna use 100% silicone and then just run a bead all the way around, squish it down, should be good to go. All right, we'll put some weight on it. We'll let it sit overnight. Okay, so we waited about 15 hours, let the silicone dry. This is stuck down really good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint it 2 times with the undercoat. We'll let that dry. Then we're gonna come back and put a layer of epoxy on top of that, just to ensure the protection of this being outside pretty much 99% of the time. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna mix up the quick coat. We are gonna tint it with black. We do want to make this a seal coat. That way it seals all the foam. That way when we're going to do our color coat, everything is sealed up. It's going to be nice and pretty, and we'll be able to get a good finish on there. So we're going to start with B. We are going to mix up 2 ounces per square foot, which on this one is going to be 32 ounces. So you're going to have about 20 to 30 minutes of working time versus the regular epoxy. You're going to have about an hour of working time. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Now I'm going to torch it just to get the air, some of these bubbles out.
Hey guys, I'm gonna put an audible in this video. We actually poured the color coat during one of our YouTube lives, and now we're gonna take it to the next level. So what I want you guys to take from this is that you can do a color coat over a color coat, and that's what we're gonna do. We want to bring a little bit more copper and clay into this finish. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remix and do the same technique that we did on the original finish, but we're gonna use a lot more clear so that these colors will peekaboo up through our second color coat. So the first thing we're gonna do is sand this coat. It's 24 hours old, and then we'll mix up our epoxy and pour our second color coat. All right, so I'm going to sand with 220, and that's gonna do 2 things. It's gonna rough up the surface so that my second color coat will have a bite to it. Also, it's gonna allow me to kind of get out any imperfections that are in this color coat. All right, once I sand it, I'll come back, I'll wipe it with isopropyl alcohol, and then after that, I'll be very careful not to touch it with my hands because I don't want any of my oil from my hand to get on the surface. So we have 16 square feet and we're going with 6 ounces per square foot. And the reason I'm using that much epoxy is I like to do a meld and marble technique with at least 6 ounces per square foot. It really helps me to be able to manipulate and move the product around and get some really cool designs. We've taped off the hole so that the product doesn't run off. We'll pull the tape probably about 45 minutes to an hour once the epoxy starts to set up and the design on top has slowed down on the movement. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I mixed up 96 ounces and I saved some clear, put a little bit of bling because you know I like bling, and we're going to use that as our grease coat. Reason we're putting down a grease coat first is that's just going to help our epoxy kind of move and slide because epoxy likes to go where epoxy's already been. So take our magic trowel. You could also use your hand. You could use a Bondo spreader. Anything to just kind of get this product onto the surface. You don't have to use a lot, just enough to basically grease the pan, as they say. Really want to get up in those edges so that epoxy flows to the edges. Now we did add a little bling, like I said, not a lot, just enough for it to catch your eye. So as soon as you use that magic trowel, guys, it's really important that you clean it. Don't let it sit overnight and this epoxy get hard because it'll ruin the silicone little, whatever you call that little thing, that thing. It'll ruin it, so clean it. All right, we're gonna start off with our black. And we're just gonna randomly pour that black out. Next is my clay mica powder. And these are all the colors that we sell on our website. I love mixing mica powders with dyes and other mediums because you get such a unique design because the products are actually working against each other as we meld them. That was clay. And here we go with copper mica powder. Remember, when you're working with mica powders, mix them very thoroughly so that you don't get little starbursts. Those starbursts are from undermixed mica powders. So make sure you mix it very, very well. Just kind of filling in some of that blank space. Leave a little bit in my cut. You never know when we want to do something fun. All right, here comes our clear. And we really went crazy with the Flambe Sparkle from Color Passion. It's almost like a diamond dust, but it's got a copper sheen to it instead of a silver sheen. We really want this piece to be a showstopper, so we're adding lots of bling. We're gonna bling it big or go home. All right, we'll come back with our magic trowel and very lightly, guys, very lightly, we're just gonna let this magic trowel skip. You don't have to hit every inch of your piece. In fact, by leaving some areas untouched, it'll give that really cool 3D look. All right, so I'm gonna tilt and just get some really cool movement here. Okay, it looks amazing. I love it. All right, so now we're just gonna do some little fine detail work and then we'll be done. So I have a little bit of clear left in my bucket that I used for my grease coat, and I added a little bit of gold dust. Now I'm gonna make some detailed fine lines just to kind of bring this to the next level. I'm just gonna kind of follow some lines that are kind of already there, knowing that these lines are still gonna move because the product is still very fluid. But because I have diamond dust, it's going to sink a bit and give a really cool illusion. I'll also do this with some of the color that I had left over. This is a little bit of the clay. Now it looks like these veins are really distinct right now, but because the product is one, thick, two, it's still moving, these veins are going to get very, very soft, and they'll just kind of be highlights. All right, I'm gonna add just a little bit of black. I'm gonna come through these big areas of solid color. Okay, it's set for about an hour. We're gonna pull the tape and let all that material run down through the middle. Once you pull, you'll see that the material starts to flow, and just like if they were your countertops, you wanna take your finger and kind of push straight down, and that's gonna help that material flow down. All right, the color coat is cured. I love it. So as you can see, we went ahead and applied our vinyl sticker. So that is their logo. Now what we'll do is we'll come back, we'll sand it, scuff sand it, and we're gonna apply our flood coat. What I should have done, and I want you guys to remember this, is I should have sanded prior to putting on my logo. So my mistake, you don't make it. How about that? All right, here we go. All right, after we sand it, we'll come back, clean with isopropyl alcohol, and be ready for the flood coat. All right, I have my clear flood coat. It's art coat, same thing we used for our color coats, at 3 ounces per square foot. And I did put just a little bit of bling bling in here. I have some gold dust, so not a whole lot. If you guys use gold dust in your flood coat or diamond dust, make sure that you don't put too much. Okay, after I pour the material out, trial it, get it all over the surface. Instead of chopping with a brush, I like to use my hands. That just, to me, ensures that I'm not gonna get any kind of bristle, and I can feel if there's gonna be any little particles in the flood coat, and that's just the way I like to do it. Okay, so I've leveled it all out. I'll come back and I'll torch it 3 times, waiting 2 to 3 minutes between torches to make sure that all the bubbles are out. One thing that's really important on your flood coat is you don't want to torch too late after you've poured your epoxy. This can cause waves. You also want to make sure that you turn off any airflow in the room so that you get a nice, beautiful glass-like finish.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna figure out where to position this cup holder. Then we're gonna drill it out with a hole saw. And I think a 3x3 will work pretty good. All right, so here's a fun fact. Get a piece of scrap, whatever you're gonna use, drill the hole, make sure it fits before you go on your final piece. This one fits like a champ, and that's what it's gonna look like. Let's see what happens. All right, here we go. It's not deep enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut out a chunk of this foam so I could get it deeper, and then that way it'll cut out. We'll see how that works out. Oh, we were hitting dowels. We put dowels into this. Here, I can roll this. Can you hear me?
How did you guys figure out how to go about making this?
Really, it was just a thought in my head of, we've always wanted a crawfish table. We thought it'd be cool to build one, especially out of epoxy. And so that's kind of how the design came about. But I think the next one I build, I'm gonna try to build that maybe a more either an octagon or something like that, where I can, maybe you can fit more people. But I still think with this, you could still fit probably 2 people per side, you know, and still have plenty of room to eat the sufficient amount of crawfish that you need to eat. That looks good, huh? Yeah, I think that's gonna be nice. Let me put the lights on them. I'm gonna use cornhole board lights, because a lot of times you eat crawfish at night, you know? So I figured, nah. And it'll look good for when they sell it. So one thing I wanna say is, when you're doing this and you're drilling out that epoxy, barely put any pressure. So when you're going, just barely put any pressure and let the teeth do the work. Don't push down real hard, because then it gets real jagged. So that's what I've learned on these holes doing this, is just barely let it touch and let it cut the epoxy. Then it'll go through that foam real nice and neat, and you'll have a better hole. Yeah, that's gonna cover just nice and neat. We'll put that silicone inside of this, and then we'll just squish it down and then just wipe the excess off. But it is pretty though. It should bring some money. I hope so. This is gonna be the first one. I've never seen anything like this. And it's not that heavy. That's the other thing. All right, guys. I wanted to put lights on this, and I didn't know what LED lights to use for this. So I'm going to our lights that we use for our cornhole boards. Yes, it is not made for these, but I don't think they make lights for these yet. But I think with 2 sets of lights on here, it'll be the right amount of lighting, and one remote will light, you can use on both receivers. So I think we'll be all right. We're putting it out there to see what we can do, because I don't know exactly how we're gonna do this, but we'll give it a shot. DIY. Yeah, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna do what the good Lord gave us, huh? And always a good idea to put batteries in your lights and turn them on before you screw them all down. That's a pro tip or a fun fact. And what's cool about these is they're waterproof and they work. Look at that. That's gonna be so cool when it's all said and done. We'll leave it on the old Rhonda color.
So what fundraiser is it?
For the Wade Busby, that's the fundraiser. It's a guy that passed away, but he would raise a lot of money for the kids. He owned a feed store, and he would always buy a lot of kids stuff. And then after he passed away, then they made a memorial for him. And so now every year they raise like $100,000 a year to do this. It's one of the biggest ones in the area. Yeah, it's pretty cool to do things like this. That's the beauty of doing this, is just being able to give back to the community, helping out the kids. Because I remember when I was a kid and showing my projects, and you know, if you don't know people, it's hard to get people to buy your stuff if you make the sale, right? And so this way at least they're able to buy stuff that people are, you know, that don't know that their first time in FFA or 4-H or whatever. And that's what I like about it, that it really helps out the new kids. So I'm a spotter there at a lot of the auctions around here. I have been volunteered for that. I have a good time doing it. I try to raise as much money as possible. I do hype up the crowd, so you know, it's always a good time. But I think this is gonna be our new donation, something different. You know, the cornhole boards are cool. I think this is crawfish season around here is a big time thing, so it's gonna get used very frequently. And I imagine I'm gonna be building more of these for other people. That's pretty clean. Cool. I think that's pretty sick right there. I don't think I need any more. We can take it inside, put it on the barrel, see what it's gonna look like.
Hey guys, we're here with Mark Serta and Lori Leach, and they are a big part of the Wade Busby Foundation. How much money have y'all raised to this point?
Well, since we started, we have donated over $2.3 million to 4-H and FFA kids in the Guadalupe County, the Bexar County, Comal County, Wilson County area, and also throughout Texas through the stock shows in San Antonio and in Austin.
So guys, I can't wait for you to be able to see the footage of this table actually going to auction. So stay tuned.
Number 41, it's a crawfish table with a 55-gallon barrel. The first ever crawfish table.
Here we go. $500 in, give me the $500 where I got 500 now, 6 now, 7, 7, 8, 800 now, 9, $900 with the 900 now, down $1,000 with the 1 down 11, 11 now 12, $1,200 with the 1,200 where, $1,200 with, $1,200 with the 1,200, 13, $1,300 with the 1,300, $1,300 with the 1,300, $1,300 with, give me 1,300, $1,300 with the 1,300, yes, 13, now 14, $1,400, $1,400 with, give me the 1,400, $1,400 with it, 1,400, 1,400, 1,400. Sold it, 1,300. 14. Hey, are you talking? 14, now 15. 15, Rusty, you're out. 15. $1,500, give me the 1,500. $1,500, give me the 1,500. 1,500. 15, now where? 1,500, got 15, now 16. 1,600, now 17. 1,700. $1,700, give me the 1,700 where? 1,700. Rusty, you got 1,700. $1,700, give me the 17, now 18. 1,800, now 19. 1,900. $1,900, give me 1,900. $1,900. $1,900, give me the 1,900. 19, now 2. $3,000 bid, giving $2,000, now $2,250. $2,250 bid, giving $2,250. $2,250. $2,250 bid, giving $2,250. $2,250. $2,250 bid, giving $2,250. $2,250. $2,250. Going once, $2,250. Going twice, $2,250. Sold it, $2,000. Kept custom pools,